Greetings, Master Trapper. Come, have some chow, have a drink, as we sit here under the stars and catch a movie. Who said that life cannot be good even after a zombie apocalypse? We can still watch movies, right? Maybe not Netflix, but hey. I had previously designed and built a simple fall trap, which uses some tricks to get zombies to fall in properly, with electric fences and shotgun turrets to greet them at the bottom. That works quite well if the trap is not too deep, but this time we're making a much deeper trap that is more than the 24 that we did last time. We are aiming at about 100 block, which does significantly more damage. The downside is that with the turret changes in Alpha 16.4, they often do not target zombies which have fallen that far, so using them at the bottom is a bit dicey, it's inconsistent, and usually it simply doesn't work at all. So we're going to have to work around that and put other traps to kill the zombies. After we've built the trap, we'll go through a Blood Moon Horde to test it out as well and see how it operates at a high game stage. But let's finish this movie first and get started on the digging in the morning. Always good with a drink. Be quiet now. Nothing like a midnight movie marathon. Anyway, so we're gonna make this fall trap 6x6 as last time. I won't go through the top part of the building bit, though it will have ladders, metal sidings and so on, just like the previous one. If you're a bit unclear of how to do it, check out my simple fall trap video that I'll be linking in the description. But let's check our elevation here on the map. So we're at about 110. So that should give us plenty of space to dig down. We are going to be digging down and clearing out this whole 6x6 area and then some, so that we have some room to build at the bottom. When you do this, make sure it's a relatively flat area that you're building on, even if you're high up. You have to make sure that there's no sharp drops within maybe 100 blocks or so that the zombies come running in. And if there are some mountain walls or something else on the, well, nearby, it will cause the zombies to dig and tunnel in instead of running in. So we want to make sure that it's reasonably flat. Here I'm sort of in a bowl-shaped area, so when the zombies spawn from the hordes around, they should be running down here and down into the trap, and that's exactly what we want to have it. Alright, I have now finished up the top, which has the 2 concrete. It's got the ladders, it's got the reinforced siding. I've also put that on the outside of the concrete just to smoothen out the look from the grass to the concrete. And it does glitch through a little bit, which looks a little bit weird when you move around sometimes. But hey, you know, it's otherwise you have that small gap in between, which looks really weird. So let's go down to the bottom of the pit and continue building. So here at the bottom, I've put down a layer of spikes, actually steel spikes. You could be using the 50 pillars if you want to loot, but I want to make sure that I increase the passive damage dealing to the zombies that fall down, just because there are going to be maybe some crawlers, and you want to help the fences and the dart traps to actually take them out. So it's really up to you as a preference. I like to have the steel spikes here because they just help to deal more damage. On one of the sides, we will be putting in arrow slits. Actually, on 2 of the sides, the ones opposing each other. So let's do that. I'm not going to put the rest of them because we're going to put the electric fences and the wire posts first before we do that, because otherwise it blocks the access for your wire tool a little bit. For the 2 other sides, we will be putting down, let's see if I can get this correct. We will be putting down a few layers of steel poles. I like to make these probably about 3 high. And the reason I like to use poles is that you can easily stand from behind here and fight the zombies that are inside. You can shoot them with your weapons, so if you have a machete or a club or something, you can whack them. So that's pretty convenient. Also makes it easier to repair or to loot the corpses or to hack up the corpses, because you don't want them to be laying around and taking up space or preventing you from getting more loot. Alright, so this is the basic way to hook things up, and if you've seen my other tutorials, you probably have a pretty good idea of how to do it, because I tend to follow the same pattern. But before we do that, let me put down my generator bank, and let's do that here, and let's pop in a couple of engines, let's refuel it, and let's turn it on. We're also going to put down a switch. Let's do that here. So we go from the generator bank to the switch. Again, just keep things neat. From the switch, we go to the tripwire on this side. Now, I haven't placed any here yet, so we're going to have to place one here. And it's going to be 6 down all the row here. Behind the tripwire is going to be the electric fence post. And behind that one is going to be the dart traps, which are going to be stacked, oops, missed that one, too high. So we connect from this tripwire over to this one. And that ensures that when it is tripped, when something walks on it, you get power. This one we then connect to this fence. This fence connects over to this side next to the generator. And this means if something walks over, it should be triggering. Of course, it doesn't do it because the switch is off, but if I do it like this, I end up taking damage. Now, how do we then connect the dart traps? Well, the best way is to always connect it to the fences. You can actually, on this side, connect to the tripwire post, but again, they can be a little bit confusing and it's easy to make a mistake. So I always tend to just recommend that connect it to the dart trap. Oops, connect from the fence to the dart trap. Right. Again, let me fix that again. And from here to here. Weird, I couldn't seem to clear that. So if I walk here, I take damage and these one will be activating. Now, since they aren't locked and they don't have any ammunition, nothing is going to really happen. But if I put in some dart, let's see if I can actually survive that. I might not. Actually, let's put it on the bottom one. Not as dangerous. So let's lock that. If I trigger this one here, yep, it'll start firing. Of course, the dart traps can do massive damage. So that's how we connect things from this tripwire across. From the tripwire here to the nearby fence, across to the fence on this side, and dart traps connects to all the fences. And make sure you align it properly so that everything is straight across. Otherwise you have problems with things not firing when they should be. So I'm going to continue and hook that up, and then I'm going to put these arrow slits in front of them. And again, the reason I have the arrow slits is that once things fall down, some of them are going to be cops, especially the radiator ferrule cops. They can end up exploding. If they explode, they can take out some of your more fragile items, such as the tripwires or the fence posts. And having the arrow slits just helps to prevent that. They absorb the blast damage normally. They can glitch through, but hey, we're assuming that things are not glitching. And that will help them to survive. And here we are pretty much done, all painted up. Now I have a chamber underneath the fall trap, which will help because, like with all fall traps, if you stand off to the side, the zombies will tend to stand off to that side as well and will not fall down. So having a way to stand underneath just to trigger the zombies to ensure they are falling down is usually the best way. Now, as far as damage dealing, the lock spikes will do some damage. The electric fences will deal about 6 per second, whereas the dart traps will deal between 22 and 45 every half seconds. So that's going to average out to a lot of damage, especially with 4 firing across as well. And again, for the way to hook it up is you have the bank, generator bank, to the switch. Switch goes to the tripwire on this side. That goes across to this side. This tripwire is connected to the fence. That goes back all across to this fence, and then all the dart traps are connected to the fence posts next to them. So with all this set up, I'm going to go up and I'm going to start spawning a Blood Moon Horde, and we will see how that turns out. And we are just about to hit the Blood Moon Horde here, and let me check the game stage, which is 1400. So I'll give them a moment to run and fall in. Let's see if we can watch them here through a small little gap. And here they start falling down. And that one died outright from the fall. And here you have some other ones. And of course not all of them are going to die from the fall. But it's a pretty good place to loot, as you see. And of course you can just shoot any that survive. And some of the raided ones, they Since they heal, you might have to help them on the way. Oh, that one died anyway. Let's see that one. I think there's a spider up there somewhere trying to do his climbing thing. But you see some of them, because they don't have enough health points to survive the fall. This one glitched through. That's how it is. Can't do much about that. But generally, either they'll fall down and die, or they'll be up here, which is usually the rated variety. Now you can also run up here and do your thing to kill them manually as well. So you can get some more here to fall down. Yep, here's some more. And here's a cop, and the darts took care of him. Shoot this one. And you see that's the white. The whites, because they heal and they got a lot of health points, so they tend to always survive when they fall down. And again, that's why you may want to make sure you have the darts and everything to take care of them. And of course, manually works pretty well too. And he's dead. In general, a deep fall trap augmented with the fences and dart traps works very well. A lot of the zombies will be dying from the fall, and the higher tier, well, they'll survive, but the darts general will take them out, and of course you'll be there. It's always good to keep some repair materials on hand, so you can repair the lock spikes, for instance, maybe even the poles, and clean up the corpses and loot everything and so on while the horde is active. One thing to keep in mind is that when you are too deep down from the zombies, you will actually be undetected, and that sometimes can prove a problem if the zombies don't actually chase you down and try to attack you. If that happens, you probably are too far down, and you might want to bump yourself up a little bit to maybe do 100 deep or 90 deep, etc. until you hit that sweet spot where you get a lot of zombies, but a lot of them die from the fall. You might have to experiment a little bit. Some of that also depends on the layout of the terrain. But go ahead and try it out yourself. I hope you've enjoyed and that you stick around to subscribe, give me a like, and tell me your fall trap experience in the comment section below. I'll catch you next time.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the vetted community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link below.